Legends ZA has been out for almost a week now, and it has received a lot of hate. So much hate to the point where I've realized a lot of it is actually very performative. But I'm not here to talk about that today. I'll keep that for a separate video. Today, I want to talk about everything that I actually liked about ZA and everything that it really did right. Now, one of the greatest parts about this game, and honestly, the most important thing overall, is that at its core, it's a fun game. When you're not sitting here just staring at walls hoping you can get a Twitter banger, you can actually go run around in this game and legitimately enjoy yourself. And a lot of this is due to the fact that the new battling system is so well made. If you're an actual Pokemon fan, you know a lot of us wanted a game that felt like how the anime looked. A lot of us have always wanted the ability to have your Pokemon dodge moves off of your command, which you can do in the game by running around. You want to be able to switch out to avoid things, switch in on your opponent. You've been wanting to use moves back to back, just like they do in the anime. And we have finally gotten that. I'm not gonna lie, the experience being able to run around and having to actually time your switches or time when you move around, it is pretty immersive, I'm not gonna lie. Being able to pan your camera and see the people on the sidelines rooting for you as you battle, being able to see your opponent run around commanding their Pokemon as well, it is extremely entertaining. And speaking of the characters, the character design, even down to the NPCs of this game, is amazing. Also, if you're like me, Black, the representation is insane. I mean, generally, I can't even think of one trainer, one side character off the top of my head that I just didn't like. Especially the supporting cast being the gender trainer, Lita, and Naveen. All of their designs are dope, and their characters are pretty fleshed out, and especially Naveen. We know all of his motives, his backstory, his background. It is very well put together. Now, outside of the protagonist of the game, the antagonists were also very well written. Now, generally, this video is going to be quite spoiler free, but this part I am going to say is a bit of a spoiler. So if you do not want spoilers for the end of the game, do not watch this. I'm telling you, do not watch this. I know Pokemon players don't listen or read, so I'm letting you know right now. Now, generally, the Pokemon games have followed a similar structure where there is a villainous team that, sure, they may want to, help the planet, but they really are doing it in such, terribly selfish or dumb ways. Looking at Team Magma and Team Aqua, I mean, genuinely, what were they doing? But in this game, I like how they took a bit of a turn and had all the antagonistic people within the game actually help you out with defeating the real problem in the city. Now, while we're in kind of a spoiler zone, I actually want to talk about the end of the game because I think this is probably one of the better endings in Pokemon in general. First of all, the ending cutscenes and the animated cutscenes in this game were very well done. A lot of them only appear towards the end and at the beginning. However, at the end, they help you reach Zygarde, and then you Mega Evolve Zygarde, and then you save the city by defeating a more naturistic threat, even though, it is machine made, but I will say naturistic for the sake of context. We aren't fighting a person, a team of villains, or even Pokemon itself. We are fighting something way different than that. That said, the ending of AZ's character and him giving you the note that he got, the Lucario that he gives the player from someone he met in his past, being Karina, which was a previous gym leader, is such an amazing callback. In fact, that callback is so amazing, I'm going to keep talking about that topic, and we're going to end the spoiler zone here, at least for major spoilers. I shouldn't really say any other spoilers, but if I do, I will give you a heads up. The callbacks and references to other regions, and especially Hisui, is amazing in this game. There is a decent amount of NPCs that call back to previous games. They call back to other regions. They even call back to some of the anime characters being Bonnie and Clement, which I think is super cool. I do think the dialogue for that specific NPC is a little weird because it kind of suggests they aren't around anymore. And that's something I hope the DLC actually either sheds lights on or just explains flat out. It would be cool to see them in the game, to have the anime characters actually hop into the realm of the mainline games. But it also sheds light on Volo's character as well. The museum having tons of artifacts from the Hisuian era honestly was just chef's kiss. But overall, it is just a massive ode to Pokemon Legends Arceus, which honestly at this point is nostalgic. That was a great game. The side quest honestly reminded me a lot of Naruto's filler, which may sound bad if you know about Naruto, but hear me out. Naruto got a lot of flack for the amount of filler it had, but if you actually decided to watch it, you will see that a decent amount of it is actually just fun. Some of it's just kind of world building. However, if you were to skip it, you wouldn't exactly miss too much. And that's exactly how I feel about the side quest in this game. It's nothing crazy, but it does help concrete the world building within the game. Now, I know I already talked about character design, but I also want to talk about the character customization, which was a huge factor in this game. I'm not even trolling when I say it wasn't until the last mission of the game that I ever used my money for anything besides clothes. I didn't buy not a Pokeball, not a potion, not a revive. I was strictly buying clothes all over Lumiose City. I mean, after the nonsense that was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and only having like 2 default outfits, this game gave us like actual variety. I mean, in my time scrolling Twitter, I have not seen 2 people's outfits that have looked exactly alike. I've not seen 2 characters that look exactly alike. It is great. I mean, there are tons of styles you can pick from that are even like modernized to like real life outfits. And there are some that are like really feel Pokemon like. It is insane. I mean, you can look like a typical French person. You could go emo, you could go sporty, you can really do whatever you want. They also fixed that problem that the original game had where there was some ridiculously priced clothes, like stuff you couldn't even get unless you grinded. I also want to talk about how some of the places that you've already been through and some places that are relevant to the story become wild zones later on. For example, there's a place underground that's connected to the story where you can catch certain mons, as well as there being like other story-driven areas that become wild zones later on. Or maybe it's just places you've already explored, like some parks or whatever else. Honestly, this isn't like a massive plus, but it still kind of adds on to the world building of the game. Even though I feel like the world building could have been decently better, but I'll talk about that in the next video. And for the last thing, the music. Pokemon doesn't typically fail when it comes to music, at least not recently. So this is no surprise, but there is one theme in particular, which is kind of a spoiler, but there's a theme at the very end, and then there's a theme post-game, which are amazing. One of them is a battle theme, and one of them is during like a cutscene kind of cinematic type of thing. But honestly, I don't have too much else to say. I feel like I've rambled on long enough. Honestly, I was pretty passionate because I feel like this game is beyond overhated at the moment. I'm not going to say it's perfect or anything like that. I'm not going to say it's amazing even, but I still think it is a good to great game. Whether or not it deserves its price tag, I will talk about again separately, different video. But for those of you who want to stay spoiler free, this is the end of the video. I don't have too much else to say. I hope you enjoyed. Like, sub up. Watch out for my next video. It's going to be a little more controversial. I'm not going to lie. My next one is going to be a bit more controversial. Now, for those of you who don't care about spoilers, the 2 music pieces I'm talking about is 1, Lysander's battle theme. 2, the second one is the music during the cinematic battle against the tower itself when you're playing as Zygarde. Anyway, I'll catch y'all later.